Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. If you are learning French or any other language and you are planning to take classes with a private tutor online on platforms like italki or Superprof, then this video is going to be for you, because in this video I'm going to talk about some factors which can help you to identify the best teacher for you as soon as possible. We all know that as a new language learner, it takes us a lot of time, at least a few classes, to understand whether the teacher is a right fit for you or not, and we end up spending a lot of money. So the tips that I'm going to share in this video, these tips might help you to expedite this process a bit, and maybe in just a couple of classes you would be able to identify whether that teacher is the right teacher for you or not. So without a further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the first factor is whether that teacher is ready to come up with a personalized plan for you or not. So for instance, if that teacher offers different type of classes like speaking, writing, grammar, or maybe just speaking classes for that matter, that particular teacher is offering such classes to many different students, right? Maybe that teacher has a set style of offering those classes, and after a few class you realize that you like the teacher, but you want him or her to adjust the pace a bit, or to choose the topic as per your interest. So speak to that teacher. If that teacher is ready to accept your request and maybe come up with a personalized plan as per your needs, then that teacher is the right fit for you. Otherwise, maybe it's time to look for another teacher. The next factor is, and this is specifically true for speaking classes, if you're taking speaking classes, your teacher should allow you to speak as much as possible. So for example, if you're taking 60 minutes class, 1 hour class, then you should be able to speak for about 50 minutes with no interruption or minimal interruption from your teacher. Otherwise, if your teacher is taking about 30 minutes to speak and you only have about 20-30 minutes to speak, then probably that is not the right teacher for you. In my case, as some of you may know, I started taking speaking classes very early on in my French learning journey. And in 60 minutes of class, from day one, I used to speak for about 50 minutes. Although initially it was very difficult for me, I used to make a lot of mistakes. But my teacher, she never interrupted me. She would let me speak only when I struggle a bit to form a sentence, or I'm looking for some word, or I'm looking for some verb. Only then she would help me and she would interrupt me. Otherwise, she would not. Because if she interrupts me, that would, break my momentum. So that is the most important thing. Your teacher should let you speak, for say 45 to 50 minutes, and then utilize last 10 minutes only to discuss any corrections or to give you the feedback. So this is exactly the format that I used to follow with my teacher, and it worked out really well for me. And imagine somebody at a beginner level who can hardly speak talking for 50 minutes. It might be daunting, right? But that was exactly what I needed, and that was exactly what helped me to reach intermediate level in just 6 months. The next point is, work with a teacher who shares the feedback in the most appropriate way. So I have taken classes with many other teachers also, and some of them used to type while I'm talking. So they would type and send me the message over a chat. That was not only demotivating, but it would also interrupt my momentum, right? Because imagine initially when I used to make mistakes in like every single sentence that would come out of my mouth, and that person is typing continuously and sending me those messages, it was quite demotivating, and it was quite distracting actually. So that was a big red flag which should tell you that you should not work with that teacher. But if you really like that teacher, if you like their style of teaching in general, for such things you can also speak to them and tell them that you don't really like getting these feedbacks as you are talking. So is it something that they can type on a Word doc separately, and once you are done talking, then they can share that feedback with you. If they agree to do that, that's good enough. And according to me, the most appropriate way to share a feedback is to do it in a Word doc or maybe in a Google Doc separately. So in my case, my teacher would let me speak, and once I'm done talking, she would write down all those mistakes on a Word doc, and then she would ask me that how would you correct this statement. So if you do that exercise with your teacher, it would also help you to correct your sentences or your mistakes on your own, right? That is also a good exercise on its own. So in my case, since this was something that we have been doing from day one, slowly I was able to correct 90% of my mistakes, because when we speak, we are very conscious and we tend to make more mistakes, right? So even if you know the rule by heart, even if you are able to write those sentences perfectly well in writing, you might still make those mistakes in speaking. So it was a very good exercise for me, and that also helped me to improve my mistakes day by day. So I think that is something that you should always look out for. The next thing is you should make sure that your teacher gives you enough homework. So whether it is a grammar class, speaking class, or writing class that you are taking, you should always have something to work on, and you should not just rely on that 1 hour of class. Even if it is a speaking class, my teacher used to tell me that these are the mistakes that you have made while you were talking. So after the class, please try to record this. Please try to speak on this topic again and record it, and you can send it to me, and I will review it again. And because she also wanted to make sure that I'm not repeating those mistakes, so it was a very good exercise for me to record those record audios on the same topic that we discussed during the class. So if it is speaking classes, you can definitely go for recording, and if it is a writing class, then you would have tons of opportunity to write on different topics. If it is a grammar class, your teacher should give you tons of grammar exercises to work on, but just make sure that you have enough material to work on. If you feel that you don't have enough homework, you can tell your teacher, or you can also decide to do some additional homework from your side. I'm sure your teacher would appreciate it if you have somebody who really cares about your growth and your improvement. Now that brings me to the next very important point. Your teacher should always check your homework before the class. Trust me, you will find very few teachers who would check your homework in advance, especially on italki, because that is the platform that I've used the most. Most teachers would check your homework during the class, and then they will correct your mistakes. That would actually take half of the time, and then you would have only 30 minutes to practice your speaking or writing, right? So in my case, when I was taking writing classes with my teacher, she would always check my homework in advance, and she would also send it to me so that I can go through it. And if I have any questions, only then we discuss it during the class. Otherwise, during the class, we used to focus only on speaking. So those of you who know, I was taking speaking classes with my teacher on italki, Ferial, initially, but then later on, I also started taking writing classes with her. So when I started doing TEF Canada exam specific preparation, I was doing both writing and speaking practice with her. So for writing, I used to send her my homework in advance. So if I've written on multiple topics, I would send it to her in advance. She would correct those mistakes, and she would write her feedback in detail. After that, she would send it to me before our next class. I would make sure that I go through those corrections, and I rewrite on those topics, and then I would send it back to her. So during the class, she would only ask me if I have any questions about her writing feedback that she gave me. Otherwise, we would just focus on speaking exercises during those classes. So that was something which worked out really well for me, because after every class, I felt like, although I had only 60 minutes class, but I used to get the value of about 4 to 5 hours of classes with her because of this approach that she follows. But trust me, I've taken classes with many other teachers in between, but I have not seen anybody else who would check your homework in advance. And if there are people who would check your homework in advance, they would not maybe provide a lot of detailed feedback. So that is also something that you have to watch out for. I know I've talked about Ferial in many of my videos, but this is not a promotion, guys, trust me. And she is actually not available also at the moment. I think she has only very limited slots open at the moment when I'm creating this video. But later on, maybe when she is available, you can check with her. But this is not a promotional video. If you are interested to take classes with her, you have to check with her in advance if she is available. If not, then please look for another teacher on italki or any other platform, and please make sure that you assess that teacher on all of these factors that I'm talking about in this video. Now this brings me to the next point. Try and work with a teacher who is ready to go extra miles to help you. I think I was very blessed to have found a very good teacher. She was always ready to put in extra efforts to help me. She also introduced me to the Facebook group. She would always guide me how can I improve my reading and listening. Although I was taking only writing and speaking classes with her, but otherwise also she used to help me, and she used to ask me, how do you feel, do you think you are making any improvement? I really liked this thing about her. She was very genuine with me, and she was always ready to help me. She always encouraged me, in fact, to improve day by day. I also like such people who push you, who gives you a lot of things to work on, who do not praise you for no reason. So that's what worked out well for me. So that's why Ferial, according to me, was the best teacher, but she might not be the best teacher for you, because you might have a slightly different personality, right? So that's why I'm saying that you should actually look out for all of these traits and characters in your teacher, because you also need to find a friend in your teacher. You have to be comfortable with your teacher. Yeah, so overall I would say If you're taking 1 hour of class and you feel like that you have actually gotten a value of 3 to 4 hours from just one class, then that means that you are working with the right teacher. And other thing could be that if your teacher is giving you a lot of homework, lot of things to work on, but at the same time you're not feeling burdened, and in fact you are feeling excited about working on those things, because those are all exciting exercises that you get from your teacher, then I would feel you have found the right one for you, and it's time for you to stick to that teacher. And I congratulate you for that, because finally, after working with so many teachers, you have found the right ideal teacher for you. So all the factors that I've mentioned in this video are based on my personal experience. If you feel that I've missed any point, and if you want to add any point based on your experience, please mention it in the comment section down below. I'm sure it is going to be very helpful for other people. With that, I wish you all the best, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.